Welcome to Petrolhead Simracing Widowmaker Series Round 2 at Darlington Park here in Derbyshire, England. I'm Adam Stewart, your host for today, and if you enjoy racing and this series, please be sure to leave a like on the video. Subscribe and hit that bell if you want to see some more. And if you have any comments, good or bad, be sure to leave them below. I would love to hear what you all are thinking about the racing so far. Do you have a favorite driver? And who do you think is going to win this championship? Qualifying is just finished. We find Timo Konecki's grabbed the pole with a time of 1:38.861. Outside of row 1 is going to be John Spriggs. Row 2 has got Matty Renault and Christian Kubovics. Row 3, we find John Jancic and Andy Darnell, and rounding out our top 8 is Mario Gaspar and Andreas Sieg. We got a real barn burner for you today, folks. I had my eye on this race since I first saw it on the schedule. Darlington Park is one of my favorite tracks. It's so technical with its tight turns, chicane, rapid elevation changes, and blind crests that challenge even the best drivers. Darlington Park was the first permanent racing circuit in all of England. The track opened in May of 1931 for motorcycles, with the first automobile race being held in March 25th of 1933. The track had to be widened prior to automobiles racing on to allow for cars to be side by side. Here we find John Spriggs practicing his starts. As you know from race 2 last week, he definitely bogged down from the beginning and lost 9 positions. So getting a good launch is critical when trying to keep your position on track. One of the unique features of this track is the chicane. It is reversible in that it can be switched to go both to the right or left depending on the track configuration. Today, we will be going to the left, taking the driver down through Melbourne Hairpin, and then back up to Goddard's before heading down the Wheatcroft Straight and past the start-finish line. So we had a little fun with the guys and we had asked them a few questions. One of them was, what is their dream car? So Timo Konecki answered he would like a Lola T294. Now honestly, I did not know what that was. I had to look it up. It's a race car, looks like a prototype, and it looks like it would be really fun to drive. Andy Darnell said he wanted the Shelby AC Cobra, which seems to be very popular because so did Matty Renault and Samuel Oliveira. John Jancic said he wanted the Porsche 911, which is my dream car. Love that. John Spriggs says his dream car is going to be a Nissan 240Z. Forgot to mention that Matty Renault also mentioned the Nissan Skyline. Chris Williams had the most unique answer with, there are so many cars out there, I would just take them all. So what's your favorite car and why? Let us know in the comments below. So another question we asked him is, what do you do when you're not sim racing? So Timo Konecki said he likes to build cars and work on projects around his house. So I'm curious, are those model cars or real cars? Andy Darnell likes to play piano on his keyboard. Matt Renault likes to tend his garden. I hope he's getting some vegetables out of there, maybe some fruit. John Jancic likes to do photography, so it makes me wonder if he's taking pictures of cars, scenery, or what. Samuel Oliveira likes to go for drives in his car, as well as ride trails. Chris Williams likes to ride bikes. Is that motorcycles or are those bicycles? John Spriggs likes to work on cars. And we are just about done with warm-up, where drivers can apply and test the last-minute adjustments on their car. Just listen to that engine. Practice is over, it's time to get on the grid. And we're starting to hit the grid here as we are watching them all grid up. Their tech is all done. We have a few more cars to get on grid, and it looks like we've added another driver. Looks like Chris Williams has joined the fray. I know he didn't set a qualifying time, but he's back there in 9th position. We have one more driver to get on the grid. And they're off and running. There's Andy with his patented start. We got Matty Vernot, which is not too bad of a start either. He just jumped right out into first place there. Oh, looks like he's going off track though. That's not good. We'll take a look at that here in just a moment. Andy Darnell back in front. Let's take a look at what happened there with Matty Vernot's last start there. See, he jumps right out in front of Andy Darnell. May have caused Andy Darnell to have to slow just a bit. As they go into turn, oh, they hit the brakes a little bit late there. He's going to go wide. Just didn't get the car slowed down like he wanted to. And now we're back in the live action with Andy Darnell with Timo Konecki. This is a replay of last week. We are right back where we left off, folks. These two guys are going to go at it again. Andy Darnell and Timo Konecki, along with Chris Kubovic right behind him. Kubovic with his patented, I got my headlights on and I'm blind when I stick my nose out. As we jump on board here with Chris Kubovic, listen to the way he's feathering that throttle. Coming down into the chicane for the first time. Oh, look at Timo, got a heck of a run coming out of there. Pulled right up next to Andy Darnell. Andy Darnell's going to take the outside. Chris Kubovic's going to follow him around there. Let's see if Timo can get that run out of there like he'd like to have. Coming out of Melbourne, hairpin there. Andy Darnell held his own. That outside, he's got that extra run. Coming down into the last turn, Goodhards, before they start to head back down the start-finish line. You got Andy Darnell, Timo Konecki. Oh, they both got a little bit loose there. And look at Chris Kubos is going to go right up the middle of the both of them. Split the uprights there. He makes the T1 first. We got John Jancic on the inside of Andy Darnell, who ended up going from first to fourth in that little bit of a straight. Back up front, we can see that Chris Kubovic and Timo Konecki are running nose to tail. John Spriggs looks like he's come back up into the fray. Timo going to try around the outside here, going into the old hairpin and start heading down Starkey's Bridge towards McLean's. Okay, now they're heading up into McLean's now. Out through Copus and back down the Sharkey Straight towards the S's. And look at that. We got 5 drivers that are all been done very well on their first lap. Mario Gaspar sitting there in 5th. John Spriggs taking a run on Andy. Andy's having trouble with that S's. First we saw Timo go by him. Now it looks like we're going to see John Spriggs. Oh, he's slipping and sliding there. Got a little tap from behind. He's got it straightened out. As we come around the last turn, we're heading back down the front straight. Andy Darnell's back up to third, right on the inside of Timo Konecki. But Timo is not going to slow down. He's going to go around the outside of him here. Mario Gaspar is hanging right in there in this round. Heading back down toward Craner Curve and Old Hairpin. Old Hairpin's kind of a fun turn to make because you really don't slow down much. You don't touch the brakes. You just kind of lift for just a moment. And those S's are really slippery. I'm hearing a lot of chatter on the radio. And Andreas Sieg has gone off. Andreas is not having the races of his time here. I'm sure he's still learning. He's going to get better as time goes on. And Timo Konecki has his eyes set on P1 as he's stalking down Chris Kubovic. Timo makes another great run out of the S's. He's going to blow right by Chris Kubovic there. couple of cars off here. What happened to John Jensen? Let's take a look and see if we can figure it out. Oh, he's a little bit crazy before. He got a little bit sideways. Might have locked up those brakes prior to getting there. Then we saw in the background another car. Who was that? Let me take a look here. Ah, here we go. Chris Willems, it looks like. He did just the opposite. Locked it up, went the other side. Cars are hard to drive. We keep talking about it. Let's get it fired up back under power, and here he goes. Back up front, we found Chris Kubovics, who's now sticking his headlights into Timo's eyes over and over again. John Spriggs is now securely in third place, trying to set his sights on Mr. Kubovics and see if he can get up there and start fighting for a second or first place. Mario Gaspar is holding on so far. Oh, look at there's that slippery S we were talking about. He's got to hold on to it. Hold those brakes. There you go. Brakes on. Commentator's curse. Wow, he's lucky he didn't slide all the way into that sand and get stuck. Looks like Timo went off track here. What happened? He's a little bit wide into the sand. He's lucky he didn't get stuck there. He's still on it though, and he's slowing down here. He's got to slow down. He's going to end up slipping out and going all kinds of crazy with those tires being dirty like that. Dropped them all the way back down to third position. Here we can see this started way back in T1. You can see he's a little bit slidey there. He's sliding here some more, back around, and he's just barely holding on to it. Those tires are heated up at this point. He's not going to have an easy time driving. You can see what happens. The result of that, turn one, having it slip, and there you go. He's way back. We saw the same thing here with Mario Gaspar. So you can see here, he's a little bit sideways, so you can see those counter steers going on. He's trying hard to keep it going straight as he's coming down this S's. As we heard, it's very slippery here. There it goes, snap, snap. I would call it a tank slapper, but with the engine being in the back, I guess it's an engine slapper. And here he goes, getting it back going. And look at it, there's the Widowmaker. That's what a Widowmaker does. You give it too much gas, it just wants to go to a wall. Back up front, we see John Spriggs, who is actually caught Mr. Kubovics. It's within half a second now. Timo Konecki's right behind them. And Mario's going to get it back on track now without any damage to the car. Both Timo and John Spriggs have both gotten very good runs out of those S's, so I didn't see Timo being able to pass him there. Timo did have the faster qualifying time, but it wasn't that far off before John was there, only like 4 tenths. Catching in one thing, passing is another. Here it goes. We start lap number 4. We have Chris Kubovics up front, John Spriggs in second, Timo Konecki in third, and Andy Darnell way back there in fourth. Matty Renault in fifth, Chris Willems in sixth, John Jancic in seventh, Andreas Sieg in eighth, and Mario Gaspar in ninth. So fun to watch them go through the S's like that. Car leaning. These cars' springs are nothing like they are when you have the newer cars. The newer cars' shocks and springs are so much stronger, so much more capable of keeping that car flat, even through turns. Spriggs has had some good runs out of these S's. Let's see if he can do it again. We did see Kubo get a little bit sideways there, and he is beside him. Kubo trying to cover off the inside there. They're still side by side, heading to the last turn, the Goddards. John did not get his car going right there. He might have missed a shift. Timo drove right around. Timo Konecki just drove right around him like it was nothing. These top four have pretty much left the rest of the field behind. There's an 8-second gap between Andy Darnell and Matty Renault. Timo Konecki has caught Chris Kubovic again. I don't think Chris's car is handling as well as Timo's vehicle is. Oh, Lord. Mad Renault, off track. This has been Timo's bread and butter, these S's. And it looks like Chris Kubovic has overshot the chicane. Chris Kubovic goes off track, and John Spriggs goes off as well because Andy Darnell passed him up. Let's take a look at what's going on back here. You can see both Chris Kubovic and John Spriggs, and both of them just locked it up exactly the same. Both of them lost a position because of it. Timo Konecki back out in front. Chris Kubovic in second, Andy Darnell in third with John Spriggs in fourth. Just a little bit of a shuffle there. When you see these cars hitting their brakes, you'll see the front end dive to the ground. When that front end dives to the ground, if it pops up, it's because they locked the brakes and they're not stopping anymore, so they're sliding. So you can see that quite often as they hit their brakes, you'll see the front end kind of bob. As a driver, you hope not to do that because it will put flat spots on the tires. The more flat spots you have, the more times you hit your brakes, the more times you're going to find that same flat spot. And once you have a flat spot, it seems like you find it over and over again. Andy Darnell pushing some pressure onto Chris Kubovic. Chris Williams' car, look at that thing. He's lost his hood. He might have broken some suspension there because he hit that inside wall really, really hard. See how long he continues to run. He's going to have to go to pits to get that thing repaired. Parts for these cars are not as easy to come by, so repairing them is a lot of ingenuity. A lot of homemade items. See that pop of the front end of there on John Spriggs' car? That's him locking his brakes for just a second. As soon as he hears it, he lets it off. Lets the wheels start to roll again. You see it again there from John Spriggs. Front end of that car is just bouncing up and down every time he's on the brakes. He's going to find that flat spot over and over today. And Chris Williams, crew chief, just called and said they're done for the day. That car was damaged beyond repair. They're going to do what they can do to try to get it ready for the race too. We're more than halfway through this race. We still got the top three nose to tail with Timo Konecki, Chris Kubovic, and Andy Darnell. Make that 4 because John Spriggs is right there as well. Mario Gasper recovering from the spin again. So we've got John Spriggs going down to the inside of Andy Darnell. We've got a little bit loose coming out of that corner. At this point, their tires are red. They are screaming at them. It is so slippery out here now. They've been out there for 13 minutes, pushing these vehicles as hard as they can. so interesting to watch how often the front end of the cars bounce up and down. You can really see it on that car of John Spriggs because of the color. But if you watch the white cars, they do it as well. They're bouncing going into those currents as they push and let go of the brakes. Look at that car bouncing. Oh, and Andy Darnell has gone around. There's that slippery S's. You see in the background there, he's got it back going in the right direction. And he's back on track. Going up through the old hairpin. Here we have John Spriggs chasing down Chris Kubovics as they head down Sharkey Straight into the S's. Timo seems to have just checked out. He's just driven away. 5-second lead at this point. John Spriggs probably just looking at the clock saying, all right, I got 5 minutes left. I've caught him from behind. Let my tires cool a little bit. Then I'll make a run at him. It's a serious duel here in the Donington Park as we're enjoying this racing between Chris Kubovics and John Spriggs. Let's take a ride with John Spriggs and listen to the engine. There it is. John's looking down the inside, showing the nose. Didn't have time to do it there. Coming up through McLean's and Coppice. Heading back down Starkey's Straight. Oh, and Timo Konitsky's gone around. Did a full 360 there. Trying to get it going in the right direction. He did not get it done in time because both Chris Kubovics and John Spriggs has passed them up. Now John knows this is a race for first. Oh, and you can see he's a little bit loose there. He is looking to go. He knows if he can get around Chris Kubovics and then use him as a buffer between him and Tim Konitsky, he might actually win this race. Pushing it. Look, a little sideways there. Oh boy. They're going at it now. Showing him the nose again. Timo Konitsky's pushing back. He is saying, I am not done, gentlemen. I am not done. Oh, and they're going around. John has tapped Chris Kubovics and spun him around. John Spriggs just got inside, but was not really far enough to make that pass. Not sure if maybe Chris Kubovics slowed down or what, but let's take a look at it from in-car and see what we can see here from John's perspective, starting from the end of last lap. Here you can see John is just all excited, trying to get around, and he knows at this point, I need to get by him quick. He knows Timo's right behind him at this point. And Chris Kubovics might have heated up his tires enough to where he was struggling. But he's definitely under speed compared to these other two drivers. Awfully smooth through that turn. You see he actually stretched it out a little bit. see how John is catching in here. A little bit of a slide right there by Chris. John gets a good drive out of there. Looks down the inside. Looks like sounded like he lifted a little bit. Oh, and just, he knew it. He could not know where to go. Just touched them and around they went. Back to the live action. We got Timo Konecki being followed by Chris Kubovics. John Spriggs in third with Andy Darnell in fourth. Timo's probably got one, maybe 2 laps left. I would say probably just 1 lap. This might be the last lap they're on. Just starting it. Chris Kubovics is probably furious right now. His tires are all heated up. He had the first position. Just went off track just a little bit there. And he ended up pushing him all the way outside. He's back to third position. You know he's upset now. Got Matty Renault. Remember the beginning of the race, he had gone off track, was all the way back to 9th position. But he's made a nice recovery after being so far behind. Made it all the way back up to 5th. Don't forget that in the second half, the second race, we actually have a reverse grid being in 5th and put him in 1st as we start the second race. Timo Konecki just went across the finish line, finishing 1st. John Spriggs, looks like he's going to get 2nd, and Chris Kubovics is going to get 3rd. That's your top 3. Oh, look at that. Looks like John slowed down to let Chris pass him right there at the end. John Spriggs slowed down and let Chris Kubovics, probably from when he spun him, he felt bad. That's some good sportsmanship. And here you see Matty Renault playing a little games as he finishes the race. Back to Mario Gaspar in 7th. Still pushing, still trying to get the wheels under him 100%. What a race we had, folks. There was a lot of action in that race. Drivers passing each other, going off track. You could tell that the heat was taking its toll on these drivers and the cars. As you're watching Andreas Sieg finish off his lap, I just want to remind you to hit that like button if you're enjoying what you're hearing. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and if you have any comments, please leave them below. I'd love to hear from you. And here's your final results from race 1. Timo Konecki took home 1st place with Chris Kubovics in 2nd, John Spriggs in 3rd. 4th place is Andy Darnell, followed by Matty Renault in 5th, John Jancic in 6th, Mario Gaspar in 7th, Andreas Sieg in 8th, and Chris Willems in 9th. As you may remember from the first week, we have a reverse grid from this second race, starting with Matty Renault on pole, Andy Darnell in 2nd, John Spriggs in 3rd, Chris Kubovics in 4th. 3rd row is Timo Konecki along with Jan Jancic, Mario Gaspar and Andrew Sieg in row 4, and in row 5 is Chris Willems. And they're off. We are running. Matty Renault with a great start. Andy Darnell did not have the start of the gods that he normally gets. As a matter of fact, he got start from hell. He's dropped all the way back to 4th position. We had Timo looking up on the inside of him there. Timo's still trying to get around him. Heated up those tires real quick. Darnell does still hold on to 4th. Out front, we got Matty Renault with John Spriggs right behind him there. As they come up into the old hairpin, heading down towards Starkey's Bridge. This is the blind corner here at McLean's. You come up. As soon as you hit that crest, you need to already be turning and braking. Otherwise, you'll miss that turn. Now they're going down Starkey Straight towards the S's. The chicane. Definitely a place that John was strong in the last race. See if he's still as strong there. Matt Renault must have learned something during that time because he held his own. John Jensen got a little bit late on the brakes and got sideways there. John Spriggs showing Matty Renault his nose. Showing him, here's my front end, in your mirrors, I'm gonna get you. Piling on the pressure, corner after corner. This turn is called Kramer curves, and they are really deceptive. You're going downhill and then back up, and the car's very easy to spin there. We saw that in race 1. They spin over and over. It's very, very easy to spin during that time. Going back down Starkey's Bridge toward McLean's. John Spriggs showing Matty Renault the nose again. You have to wonder if John is holding back a little bit. John Spriggs accidentally spun Chris Kubovics in the first race and gave back the position at the end. I'm sure he's got that on his mind as he's chasing down Matty Renault. He doesn't want a repeat of that. Timo Kanitsky on the inside of Andy Darnell. They are still side by side. Timo Kanitsky did finally take the pass. John Spriggs still piling on the pressure. And Chris Williams is spun off track again, coming down through the S's. Getting a little dangerous now. He's pushing even harder. How long will Matty Renault hold that position before John gets around him? Or how long will it be before John breaks? Who's going to make the first mistake? John gets a little bit sideways there. You can see a bunch of counter steer coming from this car. It's going to slow him down a little bit. Maybe give Matty Renault a breath or two to relax. Spriggs is just not going away, just riding around behind Matty Renault. Not letting go. Oh, he's getting a little sideways, and it looks like Matty Renault has gone off track. John almost went off track, definitely had to slow down. And now we got Christian Kubovics right up in there. As they come up through the old hairpin, John's on the outside. John Spriggs holds it. Heading down Starkey's Bridge toward McLean's, nose to tail. And here we got a repeat of the first race. We have the 3 drivers John Spriggs, Christian Kubovics, and Timo Konecki nose to tail again. Different order. John is now in front of Christian. Some great close racing here. These three drivers have been at it for 20 minutes in the first race and already another 7 minutes in this second race. Here they go. And Timo Konecki just says, Kubo, I am coming through. Timo Konecki is our biggest mover in the race with +3 positions. Andreas C. getting it going in the right direction again. Now it's Timo Konecki's chance to put some pressure onto John Spriggs as they're heading up towards McLean's. Every time they go up there through McLean's, I keep thinking I want a Big Mac, some McFries to go with McShake. Timo Konecki showing John Spriggs his nose. As they go into Melbourne hairpin, it's a great place to pass if you have the inside and have established your position. Garage is another place you want to go through here really smooth so you get a good run down this long straight. The Wheatcroft Straight crosses over the start-finish line. And we are on lap number 6. Both Timo Konecki and Christian Kubovics got a little bit sideways there, doing a little drifting. Timo did it again. He's tempting fate there. He's coming down through that Kramer curves in the old hairpin. Keep those tires up too much, you're going to have a hard time. John Jancic trying to work his way back towards the front. He had spun on lap 1, working his way back through the field. Timo Konecki taking a look down the inside of John Spriggs. John Spriggs just trying to be Mr. Steady right now. Trying not to make a mistake. Let Timo Konecki, Chris Kubovics, let them make the mistakes. You can hold on, just stay steady. It's what everybody wants to do, is not make a mistake. Let everybody else do it. Oh, and we saw him go off track. John Spriggs went off track there. Definitely had to slow down to catch it, but that puts Timo Konecki right on his back end. John Jancic has tracked down Andy Darnell. Best race on the track right now. These two drivers are just fighting it out. We all know that Andy's hard to pass. In these cars, though, you get just a little bit of heat in those tires, and they just scream at you. It's hard to keep traction. Chris Willems passing up Andreas Sieg after that spin he had early in the race. He's got a little bit of damage on that front end. Nothing like what happened to him in the first race where he had to be retired due to damage. Timo Konecki driving right on the edge every single lap. Look at, he's sideways again. John Jancic trying to pass up Andy Darnell still. 2 laps in a row, he's just followed him around, trying to find where he's faster at. Got a good run out of there. Unfortunately, he looks like he got a little bit sideways. Heat up those tires again, coming down into the S's. The chicane, he was really fast. That, oh, look at that, John went off track. And Timo Konecki's going to take over from John Spriggs in first position. Not what John wanted to happen. The pressure might have gotten him there. And there we see our first mistake from the front runners. Timo Konecki is now definitely our biggest mover with +4 positions. Matty Renault was our biggest loser so far with -5 positions. But he is fighting himself back to the front. John Jancic takes over for Andy Darnell, establishing 4th position as they come down to Goddard's. Oh, he's gone wide. That was pretty wide, and Andy Darnell went right back by him. Now it's Christian Kubovic's turn to put on some pressure onto John Spriggs. You almost have to wonder, did John wear out his tires a bit? He definitely seems to have lost some speed. Not seeing much lockups this round, which is really good. This is why we're not seeing the front ends bounce like they normally were in the first race. Drivers have learned the limits of the brakes, I suppose, what the tires can and can't handle. And John goes around. John Spriggs spins it going into the S's. I would definitely say John heated up his tires. Christian Kubovic said, "Thank you very much." We don't see mistakes from John Spriggs very often, which shows how difficult it is to drive these cars. John Spriggs definitely made a huge mistake there. John Jancic trying to get around Andy Darnell still. And the more these two fight, the more Matty Renault tends to catch them. Slowly tracking them down. John Jancic is going to keep on putting on this pressure onto Andy Darnell until either Andy breaks or he gets by him. And around goes Timo Konecki. He You have to imagine he might have been heating those tires up pretty bad as hard as he was driving to catch both John Spriggs and Christian Kubovics and get out in front. Matty Renault is slowly catching John Jancic and Andy Darnell. He made him almost a whole second in that last lap. These guys fighting back and forth is just going to continue to slow them down. John tried to make a quick move on the inside of that ES's there. The chicane just didn't work for him. Trying to get back past Christian Kubovics. That 3-second deficit that Matty Renault had is now 1.4 seconds as he slowly, steadily catches them second a lap. He can smell the exhaust at this point. Here we have Christian Kubovics and Tony Konecki coming up on Chris Willems. Let's see how they handle this lap traffic. That was classy. Chris Willems just pulled over and let him go. He didn't want to be any part of that fight for first place. And doesn't want to affect it in any way. Christian Kubovics going really defensive early there, which is probably a good thing. I think Timo Konecki had a run on him. Oh, he spun it. Is John Spriggs going to get by him? He is. There he goes. And Timo finds himself all the way back to third position again. Chris Willems trying everything he can to stay out of the way, driving off track, going super wide. Doesn't matter, he's just trying anything he can to stay out of the way. That's a hard position to be in. You're just slow enough to be in the way, but just fast enough that you want to still continue. It's tough. Christian Kubovics now has almost a 3-second lead over John Spriggs. John Jancic still trying to get around Andy Darnell. He's got the runs over and over again. It's just so hard to pass in these cars. Trying to stay calm and steady, stay relaxed. Again, they are slowing themselves down. We only got this last lap to go here. Matty Renault has caught them from behind. John's got to run. Here he goes. Andy went defensive. John Jancic's going to have to go this from the outside. He's going to go under. Oh, look at that. He's cutting back. The over-under. They're side by side going down, heading towards Goddard's. And he's got the preferred line on the inside there. John Jancic's going to try it again. Could not get around him. Good race, gentlemen. Good race. Here we got Andreas Sieg coming around. We'll get the official results here as we're watching Andreas Sieg going around to finish his lap. Not sure if it's supposed to look like this, but it looks like that red is painted as a person sitting in the driver's seat as you're looking at the door. So it looks like his arms are extended out there. I think that is what that's supposed to be. I could just see the head. Oh, the head is the helmet of the person. Andreas Sieg must be a little short because his head is in front of the body by half a foot. The car's jumping up and down. Makes me wonder if he locked up his tires and got all square blocked flat spots everywhere. And there he goes, across the finish line. Here is our official results. Timo Konecki with the fastest lap. Finishing first is Christian Kubovics, John Spriggs in second, Timo Konecki in third, Andy Darnell fourth, John Jancic in fifth, Matty Renault in sixth, Mario Gaspar in seventh, Andreas Sieg in eighth, and Chris Willems coming in ninth. As we look at the championship standings, we find Timo Konecki in first with Christian Kubovics in second, Andy Darnell in third, John Spriggs in fourth, Hendrik Andreasen in fifth, Matty Renault in sixth, Samuel Oliveira in seventh, John Jancic in eighth, Mario Gaspar in ninth, and rounding out your top 10 is Michael Tuitt. So that's going to be it for us today, folks. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to leave a like. Stay cool like the other side of the pillow.